Hey, we want to welcome you back to the Triple Thread podcast. I'm Lamar.
And I'm Joey.
And we're welcoming our VIP, which stands for Very Important Podcaster. My good friend and our good friend, Jason Harmeyer. Welcome.
Thank you. Good
Jason, for being here on the podcast.
Thanks for having me.
I look at this guy and I start to laugh, not because of his manly beard, but I start to laugh because we go way, way back, right, Jason?
Yes, we do.
1984, to be exact. So we came to Middletown. We were at the same church, and that's how far we go back. And we've got some stories, do we not?
Yes,
Jason?
we do. We've got plenty. Too many.
Let's hear them.
No, not for recording.
Not for recording.
Oh, we've heard some.
Yeah. So, Jason, tell us a little bit about you and where you serve and kind of a snapshot of your life, and we'll just kind of dive in there.
Sure. I grew up not far from here, Miamisburg. As you mentioned, pretty much my entire life was spent not far at Middletown Christian School, Monday through Friday, and then Sunday morning, Sunday night, Wednesday night at church with you.
Tuesday night.
And and Saturday mornings. And
Yeah.
and so it was it was an interesting childhood growing up at Camp Chautauqua.
Wow.
And growing up on a youth camp. Back then it was heavy in the summer. And outside of a few bowling leagues, which you mentioned, the much of the property was kind of shut down, and we spent probably 9 months preparing for 3 months.
Wow.
And so that was for my brother and I. That was kind of our life, is camp life, and it was exciting. It was fun. It was hard. Yeah. My dad got free labor and all the Mountain Dews we could drink.
There you go.
And so it wasn't all bad.
Yeah.
And then from there, went off to Bible college, post high school. In Springfield, Missouri, and then became a youth pastor in Cincinnati, in Blue Ash, suburb of Cincinnati. Did that for 3 years, took a mission trip, had no intention of ever going back to Southeast Asia, and about 3 months after I got back, I found myself having a conversation with my senior pastor saying, I don't know if it's guilt or God, but I cannot get the Philippines off my heart and my mind. And 6 months later, I came back as a short-term missionary. Okay. It was a 2-year commitment that turned into 7, but that's a whole other story.
Wow. In Manila.
In Manila, in and out. Yeah, in the Manila area.
Wow. So the Philippines, and you never knew taking that trip how dangerous it would be, right?
Mission trips can be very dangerous. Very dangerous.
And we've been on some mission trips together, but
Have you?
It's amazing to see that. And then you transitioned from the Philippines back here to the United States.
In 2005, ended up coming back to West Texas, one of our supporting churches, which was then Temple Baptist. While I was there, we transitioned to Crossroads Fellowship, bought 40 acres just outside of downtown, and launched a whole new church, and with a new vision, and that was an amazing journey. 7 years there, and then back to where it all began, back to Ohio for our family.
Wow. Camp Chautauqua, which the history of Camp Chautauqua is amazing. Recently, some grand news for Chautauqua. So take us there, and then we'll start to maybe tell some stories about the fun we had at Chautauqua.
Yeah, Chautauqua, I was actually preparing for a presentation I'm doing next week. We just went through a pretty cool annexation with an adjacent municipality, and that's been a 7-year process. But I'm doing a presentation. I was just doing some research about just kind of our roots. Much of it I knew from my father, and then just growing up at Chautauqua, but just even some things I learned even this past week, which is the rich, treasured history of that place, of Camp Chautauqua. Right now, we're launching and building the Camp of the Future, and we're calling it the Chautauqua Generations Project.
Wow.
And the whole idea is understanding the generations that came before us, and realizing that we have a stewardship to the generations beyond. And so we are putting all of our effort and energy in developing a ministry foundation, building on a foundation that will reach the next generation and beyond. So super excited about that.
And what's amazing is that as you think of Chautauqua and you think of kind of that summer camp-esque feel, it has that. If you've never seen it, it's set along the Little Miami,
Great Miami, yes.
River, and it really is just a beautiful opportunity to go back in time and to see what God is doing. But Camp Chautauqua is not just a summer camp anymore.
No, it was up until 2011.
Right.
And then we just believed that God was calling us to something more. And we felt like just like a church shouldn't just be open on Sunday,
right.
which I know is for Baraka. That's why you're here on this campus, to reach your community, not one day a week, but 7 days a week. Right. Well, we felt the same way with Chautauqua.
Yeah.
We have a beautiful campus, and we wanted to leverage every piece of it as often as possible. So it went from 5,000 individual students in 2011, and then we started doing 5 months a year, then 7 months, and then in 2019 was the first year we hit over 20,000. Had 280 major events and 47 weeks of the year that we were doing ministry.
Yeah, it's marvelous, truly, to look at the history, but to look at the future and look at what is happening even now. I love the generations piece. In fact, our theme this year is so that the next generation might know. Yeah. That's really our theme here at Baraka, that we would be able to, invest not only today, but invest so that the future will continue and the generations will grow. And so many things, man, from the Olympic-sized swimming pool to the bowling alley, RIP. Joe?
I just found out it was
Yeah,
dead.
sorry-
I used
sorry
to
about
play
that.
there.
You used to bowl there?
I used to bowl there
No
back
more,
in,
no more. Bowling, no more.
20 years ago.
Yeah.
My
It was-
son, we would go eat the snacks and the grill. It was delicious.
That was some good hamburgers
It was
at that grill.
It was like Happy Days almost. When I was walking in there, it was
So
like
cool.
so good. The lanes were great. The food was fantastic.
It was great.
But no more. And for a reason. I mean, that has transformed. Now the bowling alley at Chautauqua that people used to know now has become an epicenter of continued ministry, right?
Yes, it has. We needed more conference space, and we needed room for especially inclement weather, when it's raining outside, when you've got 700, 800, 900 students. We need places for them to go and to connect, and we wanted to be able to build environments that were more conducive to just a conversation.
Right.
And so we've invested a lot into that space, and that's really what the Generations Project is getting ready to do, is building environments for connection. And we know that my dad would say Chautauqua is a week of a lifetime, and that was definitely the case for 60, 70 years of summer camps.
Sure.
But now we want to go beyond just a summer camp to a training facility.
Right. So as I think about camp, I mean, I love the opportunities that I had as an adolescent and into youth, and even some college retreats and stuff. Jason, why do you believe that there? I don't know. It's just like, what is the secret sauce, and what makes a week away? What makes it so unique and powerful, do you think?
Yeah, I get asked that question quite a bit. What makes camp so special? And when you remove not just a student, when anybody gets out of the background noise of life, more today than ever before with technology, and you're able to go to a place like Chautauqua where there is a dedicated location that people have prayed over, that people have prepared for you to show up and to communicate the gospel in every facet of life, through music, through activity, through messages, through God and I time as you're enjoying time along the Great Miami River and in our woods. It's just the goal is to connect to Christ, to connect to your local church, your youth group, and to connect to the mission that He's called you to. And that is what our heart's desire is, that people that come to Chautauqua don't leave without that connection.
Yeah. And truly it is the sprawling acreage. It really is. When you drive onto the property, it's like, there are places you go, you're like, oh, you feel more connected with God. And I think maybe part of it is you're kind of getting out of that, setting, and you're just driving in, and there it is, and the sign says it. And it's hard to spell, but the camp by the river, right?
Yeah, that's
just like Baraka, right? Right. So, but it's an Indian name. But here's some of the activities I know they have. I mean, I know you guys have paintball. I know you have the swimming. You got obviously basketball. You've got the high ropes course. Yep. You've got zip lining. You got I'm probably missing some things.
The giant swing and basketball, volleyball. We just I noticed that you have a nice little court out here, which has taken our country by storm. But we just we got a little pickleball course, and then ultimately it's the things that are not necessarily formal activities. But we've found that groups do a wonderful job utilizing our fields to just, again, build connection within large groups.
Yeah, and what is it too about camp food? There's like it's, I don't know. It's just like it's good. It may not be great for you,
Probably
but it's good.
A lot of carbs.
Right? A lot of carbs.
Yes.
A lot of carbs. Yeah,
those carbs.
And the pop machines. That's what I love too. Go and just, man, I didn't have that as a kid. I would have loved that.
Yeah.
But so many memories for me being with you and Bobby. Trent, my brother, who he and Bobby were in school together. Kind of funny because, I'm older, but for whatever reason, Bobby and Trent kind of connected, and you and I connected way back in the day. And I want you to kind of take us to that story of stories where the four boys, we're having a fun day on Sunday that we did not want to end. And Joe, you're going to love this story, and Jason's going to tell it, and I may fill in a few tidbits.
Yeah, one thing about Chautauqua, one thing that I appreciated about living there is, yes, it was hard work. We worked hard, but we got to play hard.
Yeah.
And that was a huge blessing and a huge benefit. So when we had friends over, we got to just leverage that facility and sometimes in ways that we weren't supposed to.
Right.
And so on that particular occasion, my parents, my dad especially, was always involved in the choir. So we had to go to choir practice every Sunday morning early, or Sunday afternoon early. And that left us with some free time, unsupervised, of course. Yeah. And on that particular day, the Lamar and Trent, the Farrell brothers, came over after early service, after lunch, and got to hang out with my brother and I. And after about 3 hours, we were looking for something a little bit more adventuresome. And we found the keys to a few golf carts, and we thought we'd play golf cart tag. Nothing like it. You actually, instead of tagging each other, you tag the golf cart.
You tag the golf
It's
cart.
on a whole nother level.
Yeah,
you would have loved
the
it.
other golf cart.
Oh, yeah.
It was.
And I think we probably, time got away from us, as you can imagine.
Well, and also not only time got away from us, I remember the keychain that I had. It was, I think, our responsibility to make sure that you guys were back at the church at the proper time.
I think it was your responsibility.
It was my responsibility. Yeah. So I was the older one, the older one in the group. It was my responsibility. So I had the keys to probably the big hoopty Oldsmobile back in the day. And that particular night was a mission emphasis night. And they were literally highlighting Chautauqua, Jerry and Sue Harmeyer and their boys.
And their family.
Bobby and Jason. And they literally were calling them up on stage. So I may have, it may have gone like this, like, we're having such a good time. Man, that key ring that was up on that shelf may have gotten kind of pushed off, and I don't know where the keys are. And the fun continued.
Yes, it did. And all the way up until the moment that we were 20 minutes late for church, and there my mom and dad were, as they were looking kind of nervously for where their two boys were, which we, of course, were with the associate pastor's two boys.
Yes.
And so I do remember that day because I remember what happened at home later that evening with a reminder from my father to never be late
your father
again.
To never be late again. And I think the story was told us that Jerry and Sue were up on stage, and I think they were honoring them with some gifts and stuff. And we'd like to invite, Bobby and Jason up on stage as well.
Jason?
Bobby, Jason.
Hello.
Bobby, Jason. Well, I don't know where they are. And that someone may have said from the crowd, they're with the Farrell boys.
Yeah.
And
Which
so
everybody understood?
That. Yeah, that explains
explain that. But, Jason, we laugh about those things, but that was really community. And that was 4 young boys introducing themselves to fun and really pushing the envelope. But really, when I think about how you've gotten to travel even later in life, you've gotten to travel with Trent, you've gotten to travel with Bobby. You guys do like a 4-wheeling trip, which is all about community. Mm-hmm. And I think it has not stopped. It's amazing to me that in high school, you have friends, but sometimes you don't really hang out with them. You kind of break ties. But for whatever reason, Trent and Bobby have stayed pretty close, and they hoot on each other a lot. But that connection has drawn us and allowed us to kind of go along on the ride.
Yeah, I think there's something to be said, even just to know and to be known from a brotherhood perspective, that it wasn't probably something that was a big deal growing up, that you would have a group of men that you would be able to get to know with in such a personal way that they would know your strengths and your struggles. And throughout life, especially the last half of my life, I've been so very appreciative of men like you and others that God has placed in my life to really to know in a very real and authentic way. And that I think it protects us from ourselves as much as anything. And it makes me want to be the man that God wants me to be, the husband, the father. And so faithful are the wounds of a friend, and Lamar, as have been some others, sometimes have had to wound me, but in the best of ways, and I'm better for it. So I am thankful for those connections.
Well, I'm grateful for your friendship, Jason. You've always been. We've gotten to travel kind of past the golf carts, but we really have been able to travel. We've traveled to some foreign countries together. We've done mission trips together. It's been incredible. We did a retreat several years ago, and I will always be grateful for that time in some place in the middle of God knows where, Georgia.
Yep.
Do you remember that?
Yes, I remember it. I remember rooming with you.
You okay?
And no, that was a great experience. It was a great experience. You actually invited me on that retreat, and I think because your other friends couldn't make it, which is fine. I was glad to get that kind of last
third
minute.
or fourth.
Yeah, that's okay. It's okay. But it was a great opportunity for us to connect.
Yeah.
But also in that on that weekend, I remember in our room while you were sleeping, I was writing some things down that years later I would look back to as a meaningful, memorable moment in my life. And I went back to that notebook on several occasions to reflect on what God was saying and what God was doing and what He continues to do.
Yeah, he really, that time, and I think that would be, I would say it, I know you would say it, Joe, when you've had the opportunities to retreat and go into places where everything, like you said, back to the Chautauqua piece, where you can kind of push the distractions away and you can listen to the voice of the Lord, which we should be doing every day, right? Yeah. But when you can get into a place that is pushed away and out of the way, God wants to really, He wants to speak, and you just hear Him loud and clear. And I think those are the times in our lives that I really appreciate. And here's the beauty. Sometimes it is by yourself, but I've noticed this too. Many times God will put you in community to experience it with other brothers so that you can look back, kind of just like the Gospels. So tell me what happened, tell me what happened. What's your perspective? What did God do in your life? And I think that's been the beauty of being able to not only experience God's voice, but to experience it in this brotherhood that we call community, which is so vitally important.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so Chautauqua, people would be amazed. Joe, I'm astounded by what goes on there. I mean, all the camping stuff, not to diminish that because it's amazing, but so much. I mean, they've connected with the Anthony Munoz Foundation. We participate in one of an amazing event. You know what I'm talking about?
The basketball thing, right?
The basketball,
Yeah.
the one special game with
Yeah.
Luke Kennard's camp. It's truly remarkable how God has just elevated. There's been the large ministry outposts that are using Camp Chautauqua, mega churches, right? And everything from mega churches all the way to smaller groups. This is cool. Talk about a community piece. Remember a few years ago when I called you and said, hey, what about Middletown High School? Remember that? Take us there.
Yeah, that was wild because that actually dominoed into several high schools utilizing us for after proms, and which was interesting because who would have thought that, especially large public schools. We weren't used to that at that juncture.
Right.
And here we'd have several hundred students from Middletown High School, Franklin High School, Bellbrook, and others that would do events. And that really, we probably didn't think that was even an option. And that connection that you gave us with the principal and some of the superintendents, it was basically just an adjustment of how can we bring light into the community, even though we're not going to probably do a gospel presentation, but what our staff took away from that is we can serve like Jesus and we can present the gospel without using words.
Yeah.
And that actually has now ballooned into dozens and dozens of events with public schools around the area where we do leadership events and experiential learning. And we're just thrilled to have those opportunities. It's what we call our Inspiring Adventures program, which is right connected to our name and our mission of inspiring generations to know, love, and serve Christ.
Right.
That's awesome.
Wow. We're going to talk more. This has been incredible to get to know more about Jason Harmeyer and the ministry of Chautauqua. We're going to talk more about that after break. So, Joe, take us.
Yeah,
there.
we're going to pause just for a second. When we come back, I would like to know what's the farthest any church travels to Camp Chautauqua.
Okay.
I love that.
If you're interested in helping the podcast financially, show notes. We'll be right back.
Thanks for tuning in to the Triple Thread podcast. We are so grateful that you have spent the time to share this time with us. From Joe and I and our producer, Zach, and all that make this happen, we can't thank you enough. Also, shout out to Sandy Snowden. Wow, my assistant who keeps my life running well. Thank you so much, Sandy. Listen, if you want to learn more about community, all you have to do is type in realcommunityforyou.com. It's realcommunity, the number 4, the letter U.com, and you'll be shown some opportunities for you to be a part of community. On our website, not only the Triple Thread podcast, but a way that you can, if you feel that you'd like to be a part of this, a way that you can financially help us and support this, we would so greatly appreciate it. Another thing is, too, the Dirty Big Secret, a book that was written and published last year, is an opportunity for you to pick up my memoir. I believe it will encourage you and it will take you to a place where you realize that community is such a part and a need for our life. So Dirty Big Secret is available. You can click that link to go to Orange Fraser Press, my publisher, and purchase that. It'll be mailed to you, or you can pick it up at a Baraka location near you. Thanks again for tuning in, listening, wherever you listen, Spotify, Apple, wherever you're listening. Thank you so much. Let's get back to our podcast.
All right, so let's talk about that. How far do people at the farthest actually travel to Camp Chautauqua? I think of all the local churches and schools and that type of thing. I'm curious.
It's a good question. We've had them as far west as Colorado, as far south as Texas and Florida. In fact, for years and years, there would be 4 large busing companies or 4 large camps that would have these touring buses that would come in from Florida, and they now have a whole week of camp just for themselves called Florida Camp. And they do a lot of recruiting for a Christian college in Florida, but they come all the way from Florida.
Wow, that's a long
It's a long journey.
But it's worth it's worth the drive. You know, as you think about camps, so many things. I thought about also, you guys host, there's a huge nationwide, I call it a drum corps, that is hosted at Chautauqua as well, right?
A couple of weeks. We do both the flag corps as well as the drum line. Some of the best in the world. They have I believe, a 10-year contract at Wright State University. And so they're in year like 7 or 8. So we host them because they like our facility, especially our multi-purpose center, our gymnasium. They can go up in the loft and watch as their different drum lines and flag corps are going through their routines. Yeah. Plus, where can you go where you can get fed and you can sleep, and 20 minutes you're at the competition. So our neighbors, for the most part. I was
going to ask that.
Yeah, not all of them love it, but because they're actually good at what they do,
right,
it's a treat for most of them.
Yeah, and also they do a lot in the community. Every year they do an incredible fireworks display for the community, and so that's a way of giving back loud and proud, right?
Loud and proud, and we haven't lost anybody yet.
That's good.
We try to do it safely. It gets bigger every year. We started it actually for our staff. Yeah. And then we noticed people started bringing out chairs from up on the hill from our community, and they started watching it. And we thought, you know what? We're just going to go all out the next year and invite them. And we went from 50 to 500 to 1,500 to 3,000 last year.
Wow, and it's incredible. And just again, give back. One of the things that I'm proud about too is talking about just meeting needs. Several years ago, Warrior Weekend to Remember, which is an incredible demonstration of, I would call, love to the community of Gold Star families who have lost loved ones, also Purple Heart, through really the Hart brothers, Dave and John Hart and their family, as they have served in the military, and they love people who have really sacrificed so much. Once a year in the month of August, all of these people from all over the United States and really around the world come in and they love on them, man. They do so many things. And Camp Chautauqua now, this will be, 4 or 5 years of hosting?
Year number 5. Yeah.
Wow. So that's an incredible thing just to see that. And they love it because they used to stay in these hotels and near Austin Landing, and it's but Camp Chautauqua affords an opportunity where really you can feel like you're with your family, and you've gotten to witness some of that power, haven't you?
It's an absolute privilege to host the Warrior Weekend. It's wild because leading up to them coming to Chautauqua, I had heard about Wounded Warriors. This would have been 9-10 years ago, and had always hoped that maybe someday Chautauqua could serve that community.
Right.
And then a year or two later, we had the presentation opportunity to do this, and I will tell you, it's probably for our staff, it's one of their favorite weekends, one of their favorite events for the year. It is a privilege.
It's incredible. Jason, as we kind of are coming to an end of our time together, think about this and, think about all that you've walked through and all that you've seen God do. What would you say to the audience that is maybe listening or viewing what we talk about in the need for community? And specifically, tell us how a person can see themselves maybe introduced to Chautauqua or really get a taste of what is available for them.
Sure. There's probably a few different ways to connect to our ministry. One of them is if you're looking for a meaningful service opportunity, it's literally plug and play. If it's something where you have a skill set, whether it's plumbing or electrical or a little bit of light construction, or if you can just get on a mower. We've got a group there right now from Taylor, Michigan. They come twice a year to a church called Beacon Baptist. They come usually for a week. They'll bring anywhere from 15 to 30 people. They've been doing it since I was 9 years old. Yeah. They've been bringing 2 groups every year, fall and spring. Yeah. and they give whether it's sometimes it's painting or heavy construction or just providing some opportunities in our kitchen. So there's lots of ways to plug and play. What we do is we try to provide resources, material, so that you're making the most of your service time.
Yeah.
And so that's part of from a facility standpoint, but also just in relationship to building community. We encourage churches and groups to be able to come and sometimes do a service project where we provide kind of an opportunity, buffet of options as to what you want to do, and then we'll say, hey, let us provide an opportunity to go down our zip line, or to enjoy the pool, or to have some activities. So it's work hard, serve hard, play hard.
Yeah.
And we try to build that in so that your service time is meaningful. Not only that you see the impact in what we're doing for the gospel's sake, but sometimes just to build community within your own group and your own friendship team or your own church ministry.
And I think that you said it again, the community, it's really a ministry outpost, but it's a mission trip. See, here's the thing. A lot of people think, well, you got to get in an airplane to do a mission. All you have to do is leave the front door of your home, and you're on mission, right? And so this is a great opportunity to get feet wet. I am reminded, man, this is one of those goosebump moments. My son still talks all the camp experiences that he had, and he's gonna be 27. It's hard to believe. Yeah. All the camp experiences that he had. One of the camps that he talks about the most is where they did, I think they called it pure religion. And they stayed at Chautauqua, and they followed the scripture, and they helped widows, and they helped orphans. I think they did some work projects and serve projects. It was their week of camp. But they weren't going, I don't even know if the zip line was there back then. Probably wasn't, but they stayed at Chautauqua, and that was the outpost, and they even did some projects at Chautauqua. He still talks about that, pure religion, undefiled, to keep yourself unspotted from the world and to help the widows and the orphans in their need. And that's what they did, and it was an outpost. And so as I think about Chautauqua, the rich history, think about this, Jason. Only heaven will record the lives that have been changed in, just a few days, and people coming to faith in Christ and going back fired up. And how many people have been called to vocational ministry? I mean, thousands?
We've, in the last 60 years, since Chautauqua's been keeping track, almost 18,000 have come to a saving faith in Jesus Christ.
Wow. Say it again.
18,000.
Wow.
Almost 18,000. And for full-time ministry, a little over 7,800.
7,800 called to full-time ministry.
I was going to ask you what's the most rewarding part, but I think you probably just answered it.
It's the decisions.
I think you've already answered it, right.
It's the decisions. Those are the things that we work hard, serve hard, pray hard for, is life change. I mean, it's fun and it's exciting. But the whole reason that Dad said, as a kid, I remember him saying, hey, come experience Week of a Lifetime, because it's the week that changes your eternity. And so for our staff, for our strategic partners, that's what it's all about.
Yeah.
And that's what we love about camp, is it's a meaningful, magical moment that, yes, there's friendships that start. There are connections that are made. But it's the change of trajectory that is, it never gets old to watch that.
I think what's awesome is to think about your dad and your mom and the investment they made, the legacy. And, our parents were very close and great friends. And obviously Dad's gone now and Mom's still just kicking it. And but when your dad said, come experience, the week of a lifetime, I'd like to say this. For many people, that week was not of a lifetime, it was for a lifetime, because that's where they met the Lord, and that's where eternity really began and continues. Jason, we can't thank you enough for being a part of the Triple Thread podcast. And Joey, it's been, again, a blessing to be with men and women who, man, are just serving on the front lines and really are living out this thing called community. and the opportunity. So, Joe, take us
Yeah,
away.
thanks for just showing us the community really doesn't have any borders. I'd love to have heard more about the Philippines, but we only had so much time. But it sounds like there's tons of opportunities to serve at Camp Chautauqua, so if you're watching this or listening, check it out. We really appreciate you. Folks, and if you got anything from this story at all, share, like, subscribe, and thank you for being here.
We're grateful you've been with us again for the Triple Thread podcast. Until next time, be blessed.